Hello and welcome to From Practice to Placement, your go-to resource for GPs and clinic leaders who are navigating careers and recruitment in Australia. I am your host, Gemma Goff, a former award-winning practice manager turned GP recruiter. We dive into real talk, expert tips and everything you need to build a thriving career or general practice here in Australia. So let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of From Practice to Placement. I'm Gemma Goff. Today I wanted to talk to you about how I recruited 10 GPs in 10 months for the primary care clinics that I was working with. So I've got some steps that I want to share with you that you can put into place to help build a foundation for you to be able to achieve the same results. So at the end of the pandemic, I was tasked with creating a sustainable recruitment plan that was going to manage the growth of the community we have here, so the growth of the practice GPs, and also to manage attrition. That was the primary focus, but it was also about taking the strain off our emergency departments. So ramping it was a big thing, still is a big thing here in South Australia. And, you know, I felt like this was maybe my tiny little contribution to helping patients be able to see a GP when they're unwell without the need to have to go to the emergency room. So I spent a lot of time doing research about legislation and the process and the timelines and loopholes and, you know, anything at all that I could, absorb, understand, and put me in a really good position to be able to liaise with GPs, find candidates. Were highlighted during that time was some of the recruiters were, generalist recruiters, which essentially means that they don't, their niche isn't primary care. So they don't just focus on sourcing GPs to put into primary care clinics. Their roles could be any industry, any role. So that wasn't what I was looking for. I wanted somebody who really understood the process. Had a good database of GPs that they could work with. Some recruiters weren't really offering sort of an end-to-end recruitment service. So one agency told me that one recruiter told me that once a GP has signed a contract, essentially it's over to you. So we don't hold the hands of GPs, which blew me away. That's not the kind of support that you're looking for. Some of them were very much bum on seat. They just wanted to make a placement, get their commission and move on. And I really wanted to work with recruiters who understood the kind of GP that we were looking for: male, female, full-time, part-time, special interests. GPs that actually wanted to live and work in Adelaide. They weren't coming in, just getting a visa and then moving on. Like, there's so much more to it than that. And so anyone that wasn't open to really understanding what we were looking for crossed off the list. Some recruiters were really slow in responding as well to me. So I was thinking, well, if you're really slow responding to me, are you doing the same with candidates? And I would hate for a candidate to think that it was us that was being slow in responding to them. So again, they were crossed off the list. Some recruiters weren't able to answer questions about the new, at the time, expedited specialist pathway. We all had questions, and I wanted to know, from the industry what this meant for primary care and onboarding, because we were planning on onboarding lots of them. What did that mean for us in primary care? And some of them just weren't able to answer those questions. So again, they weren't the right fit for us to work with. So, we moved on. And then we found some really great agencies that were quick to respond, really knew the niche. They had great database. They were end-to-end recruitment. They were able to support us with all the paperwork, and they were just what we were looking for. Amazing. So signed up with the agencies, and then basically left them to do their bit. Advertising, looking at their database, pre-screening candidates, whilst I was doing my bit. So, very much teamwork. Everyone has their part of the puzzle to get the right fit. So I made sure I had protected time to work on recruitment. I made sure that in my diary, I had the same time, same day, every week that I was open to being able to interview candidates. So the recruiters knew that, Wednesday at 8 p.m, that's when Jen was available. And they were almost able to sort of tentatively book interviews on my behalf because they knew that was protected time. So that was sort of expediting the process a little bit, kept the GPs on the hook. So, we had protected time. The board actually allowed me to interview the GPs myself initially, so we were able to sort of pre-screening, tell them about the facility, the area, discuss their motivations for moving, what were they looking for, were we sort of looking like we were going to be a good fit. If all was well, we would then move on to a second interview with one of our GPs. Usually the supervisor, whoever was going to be their supervisor, would be the GP to then to meet with them to discuss, a potential move or joining the practice. We did spend quite a bit of time on, putting a package together. So something that was going to stand out in the market, something that was going to set us aside from everybody else. And that took a fair bit of market research to do that. Lots of practices offer, a sign-on bonus, a visa, a guaranteed hourly rate, and think that's it, and so, when every practice tells you a candidate how amazing they are, they've got really loyal patients, long-serving staff, great facilities, there's nothing really that sets you apart from anybody else. So, we were sort of trying to look at things a little bit differently and provided some options for GPs considering joining our practices, that we thought were a little bit different. So once we'd done that was all sort of documented on the network, ready to share with GPs. So we did the interviews, did the second interview. If we thought that this GP was a good fit for our practice, everyone was agreed and we wanted to make an offer, we already had letters of offer drafted on the network. We had templates. We just literally had to put the GP's name and address in. Same with a service agreement or a contract, whatever your arrangement is. And, these were ready to go. And these were sent, a maximum 24 hours after the interview. So, again, moving quickly, keeping that GP on the hook, reeling them in. It was really important when we found good matches that, we got that GP. You'd be really naive to think that a GP is only interviewing at your practice. They interview at lots of practices, and they should do. They should be out there trying to find the right fit. So by making sure that you're screening appropriately, that you're being able to offer what the GP is looking like, and it really is a good fit for family, be ready to go. Have those templates on your network ready to move. Stick to your plan, stick to the process, have a cheat sheet, a tick box, whatever works for you, so that you can keep to these steps and keep momentum going. So I took the opportunity to make it, a teachable moment, a growth opportunity for the practice managers that were in the clinic. So I asked them to join me on interviews. I explained the process. I explained the why. We went through DPA, moratoriums, VRs, non-VRs, level 1 to level 3, what the difference is, the whole beast that is recruitment. I shared all of my knowledge with them. And over time, they absorbed it, they understood it, and then they started doing the GP recruitment themselves. So, there was that sort of what if moments from both sides. For me, it was what if they don't represent the clinic like I had been doing? What if they ask me questions that, I don't know how to answer, was concerns of theirs. And it was all unwarranted concern because they were absolutely fantastic. They took I gave them the reins. They interviewed themselves, the GPs themselves, and they ran with the process, the checklist, the step-by-steps, all the templates, and they now do that really well. I've left the practice some time ago now, and I know that they're still recruiting and doing so well at that. And that's all as a result of the foundations that were created at the start of the process. So, recruitment doesn't become a chore, it's a joy, and being able to learn it all and then share it with my team was just the best feeling. You hear a lot from me about leadership and mentoring and growth and sharing knowledge, and it's something I'm so passionate about. And to be able to do that in this space was just such a joy, and it literally gives me goosebumps when I think about how well they've done. So, GP recruitment doesn't have to be scary. Just break it down step by step. Do your research, put your templates in place, find really good recruiters to work with, that understand what you're looking for, understand the processes, have a good database, have a good network, have been in your shoes, know what it's like to be trying to juggle, running a practice and recruitment. So, You can achieve 10 GPs in 10 months. Absolutely, you can. Just put the processes and steps in place. So I hope you find that helpful. Hope you find that useful. And if you want to talk about how we can make that work for your practice, then, reach out. You can send me a message on LinkedIn, send me a DM from LinkedIn. And as always, please hit the subscribe button here and follow me on YouTube, and subscribe to my newsletters on LinkedIn as well. You'll find those really helpful when it comes to your GP recruitment and your leadership. So nice to see you all again. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now. Thank you for watching this episode of From Practice to Placement. If you found it helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss an update. I'd love to connect with you. You can find me on LinkedIn at Gemma Goff. Follow my page and subscribe to my LinkedIn newsletter for regular insights into GP recruitment, relocation and sustainable workforce planning. Whether you're a GP exploring your next move or a clinic leader building your team, I'm here and happy to help.